In this video, I'm going to talk about good crying versus bad crying, as well as confusing crying. Hi, my name is Stefan Gonik. I'm an expert EFT practitioner and soulmate attraction mentor from EFTalive.com. So I've heard so many people say things like, I hate to cry. And I'll say, you hate to cry? Why is that? They go, well, I can cry and cry, and then at the end of it, I just feel so much worse. And so I just hate it. And you see them, if they start to cry, like they're fighting this, I don't want to be doing this. Ugh. Well, it turns out there's actually two very different ways to cry that will make a big difference in how you experience crying and how you'll feel at the end of it. And that's why I call it good crying versus bad crying. So what is crying? First of all, just to begin with, crying is the natural expression of the emotion sadness. When we feel sad, as long as we let ourselves cry, we will cry, right? It's the natural expression of that emotion. And if you watch little kids, if they get upset about something, they will cry and it will move through them very quickly. I'll give you an example. I remember a long time ago, I had this girlfriend, had two young sons, 4 and 7. And one day we were in the kitchen and a little 4-year-old came running in, and apparently his brother had done something that was very upsetting to him. And he started telling his mother about it, but he was crying so hard we couldn't understand what he was saying, except for his brother's name. So he'd be like, so-and-so, and he just kept crying, and she was just going, kind of stroking his back. And he did it for a little while, and then eventually, it didn't take very long, he finished, and he went, okay. And he went running off right back to play with his brother, right? So this is a built-in kind of healing mechanism that we all come with into this world. And if you let it go its natural course like that, it will flow very easily, and we will release all the sadness. That's what crying does, is release sadness. So good crying is when something happens, let's say your partner did something that hurt your feelings, right? And if you let yourself, you're feeling hurt, which is a type of sadness, and if you let yourself just feel that and cry, and just stay purely focused on this happened and I feel sad, and I'm crying. If you do it, it'll be just like that little child. You'll cry it out until you're done. If it's a small hurt, it'll take a very short time. If it's a medium hurt, it'll take a little longer. If it's a really big hurt, it'll take longer. But it's still the same. If you just keep crying out, let yourself cry, and you're focusing on just the feelings you're having, you'll get it all out and you'll be done. You'll feel way better. So what is bad crying? Well, bad crying starts like good crying, right? Something happened that you feel sad about or hurt, something like that. You start crying, but instead of keeping it really simple and pure, like in good crying, it's very simple and pure, you start adding these negative thoughts while you're crying. So let's say somebody, your partner hurt your feelings, and so you're crying, and then you start having these thoughts like, oh, I've been hurt so many times before, and I'm afraid I'll always be hurt, and I'll never be able to have a good relationship, and woe is me, and life sucks, and this is so terrible, and I hate this, and da-da-da. So you're adding on all these negative beliefs and thoughts and fears of the future and all this other stuff, which just keeps fueling it more, right? You're not releasing, you're actually adding to it. So you can cry for hours that way, and at the end, you're going to feel worse. You're going to feel exhausted and worse and just terrible because you're piling on all this other stuff, right? So what you want to do, ideally, to try and switch from bad crying to good crying, is that you want to simplify it. You want to take your attention away from all this extra stuff and switch to good crying, where you're focused on just purely the emotion. I just feel sad, and I'm crying, I'm crying, I'm crying. And I'm just focusing on the loss and the sadness, or the hurt and what happened. I feel hurt, and no extra thoughts. Just a very pure, clean, simple experience. And if you do that long enough, you'll clear it all out, and you'll feel much better. Now, of course, you can tap while you're doing that, and it'll happen even faster. But you don't necessarily need tapping for this, because this is our natural healing mechanism. Tapping just helps speed it up, right? So it happens like 3 times faster or something. Now, if you feel kind of stuck in this kind of bad crying, you can also tap on that. Even though I can't stop having all these negative beliefs, even though I feel like I can't stop worrying about the future, I can't stop whatever the things, these thoughts are, you tap on that. After a while, you'll stop feeling quite such a strong compulsion to go there and think of all this stuff. And you say, I just choose to keep it simple. I choose to just feel my sadness, or I just feel my hurt, and let myself cry. And just kind of use that to kind of shift yourself over to the good crying, which will just be this wonderful release. And at the end, you'll feel so much lighter and better, and it feels really good. In fact, when you do it this way, and you just let the crying flow, the crying can actually feel like this really wonderful release where you just feel really great at the end. So now, I mentioned there's also this third thing called confusing crying. So like, what the heck is confusing crying? Well, there's this special phenomenon that confuses the hell out of people when it happens lots of times. And that is when somebody does something good, they're extra loving to you or supportive, or they give you these really heartfelt compliments. So they're doing something where they're giving you some kind of really positive, loving energy. And sometimes they'll make us cry. And it's like, why am I crying? This is, this person is doing something really good. They're giving me this really wonderful stuff. Why am I crying? It doesn't make any sense, right? I should just feel good if they're being loving towards me. I should just feel good, right? So yes, that can be very confusing. And what's happening there actually is that when the person is being loving towards you, in whatever way, and you open your heart to receive it, so it really touches you. Lots of times people can be loving and we just kind of block it out, right? But in those situations where you really open your heart and take this loving energy in, what's happening is it does feel good, but it can also result in releasing some old pain, usually from childhood, right? Times when we didn't feel loved. And this is not a bad thing. This is actually a nice healing opportunity to simultaneously take in this really positive, loving energy, as well as release some of this old pain. So if you just let yourself go with it and cry out the old pain, you may not even have any thoughts to go with it. Like, I'm not sure what old pain I'm releasing. It's not like I'm having some memory of something bad that happened. But we all tend to have a fair amount of old pain just sort of stored within us. And then in these situations, it will come out. And this is really good if you just go with it. So it's confusing, but if you understand what's happening, then it's not so confusing anymore, and it just becomes an opportunity to release more of it. If we keep doing this every time it happens, eventually there's less and less of it still stored within us, and we feel better and better. And you can continue to go back to receiving more of the positive, right? You might say, could you say that to me again? I just cried a bit. Maybe they'll be confused. The person, why are you crying? So it's okay, it's just some old pain being released from me. And could you say it again? That really good thing you just said. Could you say it again? And that's a really good thing. It's a wonderful opportunity. And my kitty wants to get in on the act. So anyway, I hope that you found this helpful. If you did, it would help me if you would click on the like button. It would also help other people to find this video on YouTube, if you do that. I also invite you to come check out my website at EFTalive.com, where I have a newsletter that begins with an ebook that teaches you how to use EFT to shift negative beliefs into positive ones, which can, if you use that, you can make a huge impact on your life, as well as a whole bunch of other very practical applications of EFT to make your life better. So thanks for being with me, and I'll see you on the next one.